First, I want to thank the PTA for hosting this event, the students who are running it, and for everyone who is engaged enough in this process to be watching at home. My name is Christine Mangiamele. For 15 years, I've lived in the village of Ossining. I have two daughters who are Brookside and Park School students. A strong believer in the value of public education, both my degrees are from SUNY schools. My bachelor's degree in music education and applied percussion is from SUNY Fredonia, and I attended SUNY New Paltz to earn my master's degree in humanistic multicultural education. I have 8 years of experience teaching music K-8 in the Arlington Central School District in the Poughkeepsie area, and have taught part-time for 2 non-consecutive years here at Ann M. Dorner Middle School in Ossining. Working across several buildings at once, I've seen the effects of red line segregation had in my older school district, and it inspired me to pursue humanistic and multicultural education. Ossining's districting model, in which students attend the same school regardless of their neighborhood, is what sold me on raising my family here. I've seen the school district continue to hold themselves to ever higher standards toward their goal of providing the best possible public education to every child within its borders, regardless of their means or needs, and I want to contribute my efforts to that end. As a music teacher, I've taken on several volunteer roles, organizing student performances at community fundraisers, organizing solo and ensemble festivals open to students across Dutchess County, accompanying performing ensembles, and providing consistent after-school help. Outside of work, I have been a volunteer at the nursery school my children attended. I sat on the parent committee, organized several annual fundraisers, designed and maintained their website, and regularly came to school to offer hands-on help. I have served as class parent through the PTA and reliably volunteered for various events. I advocated as a participant in Ossining for Fair funding and made masks myself, which were donated to the school and community through Croton Face Mask Makers. Upon experiencing our substitute teacher shortage myself, I began regular subbing and am currently serving on Senator Elijah Reichlin-Melnick's Education Advisory Committee. I'm ready to volunteer my time on the school board. Thank you.
So the first question that we have for our respective candidates is, what is a school board member's role and responsibility? How does that role differ from the role of the superintendent or administration?
So the superintendent's role is to make educational and business choices for the school district. The superintendent and the administrators are involved in the day-to-day work of ensuring that our goals are being met, hiring teachers who do the same, and communicating with families in the broader community. A school board member's role overlaps in some ways. We too communicate with families and advocate for the school district, but a school board member does not oversee the day-to-day function of the classrooms. For example, it would behoove me to observe lessons taught in the district, but it would not be my place to offer teacher feedback. School board has 3 primary functions: overseeing the budgeting process, hiring, firing, and evaluating the superintendent, and setting policy. So overall, a school board member is an elected person that's meant to represent our values regarding education, and that's how we do it. Thank you.
So now we will move on to our second question, which states, what differentiates you from the other candidates or board members? What particular experiences or skills have prepared you to serve as a board member?
So we want a balance of voices on our school board. I'm the only current teacher and the only educator with recent classroom experience. My ideals align with our culture of care beliefs that each student deserves a high quality and equitable education regardless of their culture, upbringing, or socioeconomic status. When we consider the diversity of voices we want on the school board, I ask that we make the consideration comprehensively. We should not only be seeking diversity in culture, but also diversity in life experience and socioeconomics. It's good to have, for example, a lawyer on the board to be able to review board policy. That lawyer is going to be able to look at that with a unique eye based on their experience. It's a good idea to have someone with financial background in the finance industry to be able to go over the budget. They're going to be able to bring a unique experience, a unique quality in their work to their experience. It's a good idea to have people with a background in education to oversee our policy as it relates to curriculum and what's actually happening in the day-to-day in school buildings. And that is what I think I uniquely bring. I could say a bunch of other things about how great I think I'm going to be, but I honestly think we have a lot of great candidates who share those qualities. So I wanted to speak only about what is unique to me. Thank you.
So how will you seek to support the importance of creating an inclusive environment for all students and families?
So I think that this is a goal that the school district already has and actually does a pretty good job to the extent that they can. When we think of inclusion, to me, the first thing that comes to mind is our Spanish speaking population. We already, for example, make sure that many or most of our communications are in both English and Spanish. I think one thing that we can do, that we aspire to do, is hire teachers and other faculty and staff that reflect the population in our schools, which is a very tall order because about 80% of teachers that graduate from college are white. So we're fishing from a small pond on that, but that is something that I think that we do aspire to and that we try for. So yes, our communications have to be as free and open as possible. I think the school district does a very good job with a lot of communications, probably too much. If we could focus that in, I think that that would actually be more effective. And we also have a lot of great partnerships with Rising Above Boundaries. We have a lot of partnerships with really everywhere. Dr. Sanchez is pretty good. That's, I would say, one of his strengths, if you wanted to ask me about that, is his partnerships with community groups and how we bring the entire community into school. And so I would continue with that stuff. I think that we're doing a pretty good job there. Honestly, I think that's one of our strengths.
What do you see as the major issues facing your school district and public education?
Thank you. I want to echo that my first thought went to our mental health. The pandemic is not over. It's certainly not over in our house. The pandemic has exacerbated a lot of the need we are already dealing with, and I would expect the fallout from this to last well beyond any candidate's 3-year term here. Many families are struggling to meet basic needs, and this is why we offer wraparound services through O Prime, free breakfast, why we have advocated for fair funding, etc. Most, if not all, students are dealing with some sort of trauma surrounding COVID. Being separated from their peers for a long time and having an unpredictable schedule has created mental health issues for students, staff, and families. I think we are all feeling burnt out. So mindful that this has brought inequities, especially to the surface, we're in a position to provide many wraparound services for whole families and teachers in order to best support our students, whether it's committing to continued free lunch or partnering with community services like the mobile food pantry at Park School, or having regular contact with psychologists and social workers, which I'm glad to see we've committed to in our most recent budget. We could be appropriately training our teachers to incorporate trauma-informed care. I actually recently took a good book study as part of my continuing education that was related to handling difficult behavior with our most challenging students. So shout out to Mary Catherine Hillman at the Teacher Center. We should be utilizing her to the best of our ability. And to echo, we have some facilities concerns. We're overcrowded, even though our population is beginning to flatline. Right now we have 126 square feet per student, and our peers have around 170 on average. I, for example, teach general music in an English classroom with no piano, and I know Miss Ilson at Park School teaches music on a cart. So even though the purchase of the church helps alleviate those issues a little bit, I think that the situation goes beyond the high school. Lastly, we're facing a teacher shortage that is not just in Ossining, especially as we seek to hire teachers that reflect our values and population. We need to make sure we maintain stable administrative leadership whenever possible and make Ossining a welcoming place for new teachers. Thank you.
In this post-COVID era, what programs and initiatives would you propose and/or support to promote the physical and mental well-being of our students and staff, including those that address bullying and harassment?
Thank you. So as far as students are concerned, what I think we need, and I think that we're already on track with our increased foundation aid funding, is more particularly after school programs and activities. I'd support busing after school at all levels to make it as accessible as possible. We need more programs similar to MBK. I think MBK has been a really fantastic program for our boys of color, but I think that we could use similar programs for other groups of students where they can feel safe to express themselves. We should be having more clubs that meet students' interests, whether it's engineering, music, art, and of course, sports. I would love to see more after-school sports opportunities, for example, at the elementary school level. The challenge there is finding the people to do it. Because like I said, one of our challenges is a teacher shortage. Teachers are burnt out and they don't necessarily want to stay after school, no matter how much money you are willing to pay them. But I do think that we can afford these things. During the school day, I know we already support culturally responsive teaching and restorative justice. I think we need to be mindful that our goal should be to reduce the number of suspensions that we hand out, as they are not particularly effective. And be mindful of the school to prison pipeline. We do not want to be contributing to that. I believe that kids do well when they can, and when they're not, it is a signal that their needs are not being met. So I guess that's my answer to that. Thank you.
What is your vision for education in this community?
Thank you. My vision for education in this district is that we provide a pathway for success for every student, regardless of their circumstances, with the understanding that a path for success can take many different shapes and forms. One policy I support to that end are multiple paths to graduation that includes one math, one science, one social studies regions, and then you can choose a pathway at the high school for yourself. Pathways can include humanities, arts, biliteracy. There's a few trade options. Because at the end of the day, our students are going to leave us and they need to be able to be successful in our community and beyond, wherever they see themselves. I also support a do no harm regents policy, which is basically that whatever grade you get on your regents exam can't necessarily impact, you can't fail your class because you just bombed one test. That's the long and short of it. It's pretty in the weeds. I generally envision a partnership with the community as we hold what's best for all of our students at the center of all of the choices that we make. Thank you.
As a diverse school district, how will you, as a board member, plan on supporting initiatives that ensure equitable school curriculum and policies?
So I think that this is a strength of our school district, and I think that we are a school district that tries to put its money where its mouth is. I think Trustee Banta said something about how you can see our values by looking at our budget. That's a poor paraphrase, I apologize. But I agree with that. And I do think that we have, and I hope to continue to put money towards programs that aim to end the achievement gap. I know AMD in particular is on an improvement plan because of our African American population's test scores. They don't match their peers. We do experience the achievement gap here in Ossining. I think that we should be, and I know we already are aiming to, so I would like to continue to implement more wraparound services and access to My Brother's Keeper, which is targeted specifically at that and has been studied and shown to work. Our communication and our staff are bilingual whenever possible, so that families where parents do not speak English as the first language in the home feel comfortable in reaching out to schools, whether that's just to communicate at parent-teacher conferences or step into the special education services, which can be overwhelming even if you're completely fluent in English. And I think the other thing that I would like to continue to see, like I said, I think that this is a strength already, to strengthen our partnerships with local organizations that seek to meet the needs of our families in the most need. Like I mentioned, I didn't mention, but I'd like to mention Ossining Padres Hispanos, which does a great job of that kind of thing. Connect with the school district in those ways. Then the greater connection we have to our community, the more likely we are to see equitable success whenever we can. Thank you.
How would you determine your budget priorities?
First of all, the budget is about 70 to 80% already determined at the start of the budgeting process. Just because, let's say we have X number of students, we legally need to provide busing, and so we need Y number of buses. We have a bus contract, it costs a certain amount per bus, therefore, that's what the cost of the buses are. That's just one example, but it really makes up the majority of the budget. But in those spaces, the budget is a reflection of our values, and our first priority is to make sure our students receive the best possible education with the money that we have. There are two things proven to very substantially indicate student success, and the first is household income. And we can't really do anything about the household income our families earn. But the second thing that impacts education is class size, and we can control that. Fortunately, we are in a very fiscally healthy position at this time. The state recently ranked us as under 0.0 stress. And I do not foresee a situation where we would need to raise taxes in the near future, so long as we continue to receive the projected amount of foundation aid that we have. I think that we can easily expand programming, maintain programs, certainly, with consideration to our community members, so that we can be both fiscally responsible and be meeting all of our students' needs and expanding the ways in which we can do that, so that, as we've stated before, students can have their multiple paths towards success, whatever that looks like. Thanks. As a teacher with years of experience working with students in kindergarten through 8th grade, including a short stint at our own Ann Dorner Middle School, I think any board could benefit from boots on the ground perspective that an experienced teacher can offer. Currently, our school board is lacking that voice. Filtering prospective district initiatives through the eyes of someone who can understand the practical impacts in the classroom is essential. My experience with the unique challenges seen in the classroom give me the insight to offer meaningful suggestions that can lead to more successful implementation of our initiatives and help us meet our long-term goals with greater efficiency. If I'm elected as a school board trustee, you can expect to see me focusing on the substantive issues at hand in a respectful, collaborative, and receptive way, with honesty, integrity, and without personal conflict. I began to connect with our current school board members in my research about the roles, and became familiar with their various perspectives that have already proven valuable. I come to you with a desire to serve our community, and in particular, each and every one of our students, through my passion for education. I will be an active listener and a motivated learner as I represent the community. I offer a teacher's perspective to the school board. I'm level-headed, open-minded, and a steady hand for our community members. If you would like to learn more about me or ask me a question personally, please reach out to me through my website, christineforboe.com, or through Facebook at facebook.com/christineforOsseningBOE. Please do me the honor of electing me to the position of school board trustee. Thank you.